There is a moment in every person's life when they are forced to make a decision that will define the rest of their future. Not a decision about money, not a decision about success, a decision about dignity. Will you beg for what should have been freely given, or will you walk away and discover your true value? Most people never ask themselves this question. They spend their lives chasing attention, chasing approval, chasing love, chasing opportunities, and worst of all, chasing people who already decided they were willing to lose them. They believe persistence is strength. But there is a thin line between persistence and desperation. The moment you cross that line, you stop earning respect and start inviting pity. Machiavelli understood something that most people refuse to accept. Respect cannot be begged for. It cannot be negotiated. It cannot be purchased. Respect is observed. People don't respect you because you ask them to. They respect you because your actions tell them that you already respect yourself. The person who begs has already announced to the world that someone else controls their happiness. Think about that. Every time you beg someone to stay, every time you beg someone to understand, every time you beg someone to appreciate your effort, you are quietly saying, my peace depends on your decision. And that is one of the most dangerous positions a human being can place themselves in. Because the moment another person realizes they control your emotions, they begin controlling your behavior. You answer faster. You apologize more. You tolerate disrespect. You lower your standards. You become someone you barely recognize. Not because you are weak, because you are afraid of being abandoned, afraid of being rejected, afraid of standing alone. Fear has destroyed more potential than failure ever could. Look around. The world is full of intelligent people trapped inside relationships that drain them, talented people trapped inside careers that destroy them, kind people surrounded by those who exploit them. Why? Because they are terrified of letting go. They convince themselves that holding on is courage, but sometimes holding on is simply another form of fear. There is incredible freedom in realizing that not everything you lose is a loss. Sometimes losing the wrong people is the greatest victory of your life. Imagine carrying a heavy chain every single day. At first you barely notice the weight. Then it becomes part of your identity. Years later, someone offers to remove it. Instead of celebrating, you hesitate. Why? Because even suffering becomes comfortable when you've carried it long enough. That is exactly how toxic attachments work. People become addicted to familiar pain. At least they know what to expect. Freedom feels uncertain. Pain feels predictable. And the human mind often chooses predictable suffering over uncertain happiness. That is why so many people remain exactly where they are. Not because they enjoy misery, because misery has become familiar. Machiavelli believed that people reveal themselves through their actions, not their promises. Listen carefully. Promises are cheap. Attention is cheap. Words are cheap. Commitment is expensive. Loyalty is expensive. Respect is expensive. Stop confusing words with value. Anyone can promise forever. Very few people can prove it. If someone repeatedly shows you through their actions that they do not value your presence, believe them. Do not waste years trying to rewrite someone else's priorities. Your energy belongs to your future, not to convincing someone to appreciate what they already ignored. The greatest prison in life is needing something from someone who enjoys watching you ask for it. Read that again in your mind. Needing something from someone who enjoys your dependence is slavery without chains. The strongest people in history all shared one common characteristic. They could survive alone, not because they hated people, because they refused to become emotionally dependent on them. Dependency creates fear. Fear creates obedience. Obedience destroys freedom. This is why emotionally disciplined people appear calm even during loss. They understand something that desperate people never learn. Everything that leaves creates space for something better. Every closed door protects another opportunity. Every goodbye removes another distraction. Every ending becomes the beginning of a stronger version of yourself. The person who fears loneliness becomes easy to manipulate. The person who embraces solitude becomes impossible to control. There is a reason silence makes insecure people uncomfortable. Silence forces them to meet themselves. Most people spend their lives avoiding that meeting. They surround themselves with noise, conversations, entertainment, social media, relationships, anything that prevents them from hearing their own thoughts. But power begins the day you become comfortable sitting alone with your own mind. Because once solitude becomes peaceful, nobody can threaten you with abandonment again. Think about the people who command respect without speaking very much. They rarely chase, rarely argue, rarely defend themselves. Not because they think they are better than everyone else, because they understand that confidence does not require constant proof. Weakness seeks validation. Strength seeks purpose. There is an enormous difference. Imagine two kings. The first spends every day reminding everyone that he is king. The second says nothing. He simply rules. Which one appears more powerful? The answer is obvious. Power that constantly introduces itself usually isn't power. Real authority does not scream, it is recognized. The same principle applies to your own life. Stop announcing your value, live it. Stop explaining your standards, protect them. Stop begging people to see your worth. Become so focused on your growth that those who overlooked you eventually wonder what they missed. But here's the truth. By the time they realize your value, you should already be too busy becoming the person you promised yourself you would become. Never make someone your destination. People change, opinions change, circumstances change. If your identity depends on another person's acceptance, your foundation is built on sand. Build it on principles instead. Principles survive disappointment. Principles survive rejection. Principles survive betrayal. Because principles belong to you. Nobody can take them away. The world will always try to convince you that your value depends on external approval. More followers, more praise, more recognition, more attention. But those things are temporary. Character is permanent. Character follows you into every room. Character speaks before you do. Character determines whether people trust you when nobody is watching. That is the kind of power worth pursuing. Not the power to control others, the power to control yourself. The day you stop begging is the day your life begins to change. Because for the first time, you stop asking the world to tell you who you are. And you finally decide for yourself. There comes a point where every person must choose between two identities. The first is the identity built on approval. The second is the identity built on principle. One changes with every opinion. The other remains steady through every storm. Most people never realize which one they have chosen until life tests them. The test comes quietly. Someone ignores your message. Someone questions your value. Someone leaves without explanation. Someone gives their attention to another person instead of you. In that single moment, your true character is revealed. Do you remain who you are, or do you become someone else just to be accepted? This is where most people lose themselves, not because they lack intelligence, because they confuse love with attachment, respect with attention, loyalty with dependence. They begin sacrificing pieces of themselves, hoping that one day someone will finally appreciate everything they gave away. But respect has a strange nature. The more desperately you seek it, the further it moves away. The less you demand it, and the more you embody it, the more naturally it comes. That is why powerful people rarely chase recognition. Recognition follows excellence. It follows discipline. It follows consistency. It follows those who become too focused on their purpose to constantly ask whether the world approves. Look at history. The people remembered for centuries were rarely the ones trying to please everyone. They stood for something. They accepted criticism. They accepted loneliness. They accepted misunderstanding because they understood that greatness and universal approval have never existed together. If you try to satisfy everyone, you will eventually disappoint yourself. And there is no greater tragedy than becoming a stranger to your own soul. The world will tempt you with shortcuts. It will tell you to compromise your standards, to tolerate disrespect because you fear being alone, to lower your expectations because everyone else has, to remain silent when your values are attacked, to become smaller so other people feel more comfortable. Do not accept that bargain. Every compromise of your principles demands interest later, and the price is always paid with your peace. Machiavelli understood that people observe far more than they listen. They watch how you react under pressure, how you handle rejection, how you respond to betrayal, how quickly you abandon your own standards when circumstances become difficult. Your behavior becomes your reputation long before your words ever do. That is why discipline is more powerful than emotion. Emotion changes with the day. Discipline remains. When your emotions tell you to beg, discipline tells you to breathe. When your emotions tell you to chase, discipline tells you to stand still. When your emotions tell you to seek revenge, discipline reminds you that success is the greatest answer. Never underestimate the power of becoming unavailable to chaos. There are people who survive by creating confusion. Arguments are their fuel. Drama is their entertainment. Your reaction is their reward. The moment you refuse to participate, their influence disappears. Silence frustrates those who expected your anger. Distance confuses those who expected your pursuit. Growth disappoints those who expected your downfall. The greatest revenge is not making someone suffer. It is becoming someone they can no longer disturb. Imagine waking up one morning without needing anyone's approval, without checking who replied, without wondering who likes you, without measuring your worth through another person's attention. Imagine the freedom. That is the life you should pursue. Not because isolation is the goal, because independence is. Relationships become healthier when they are built on choice instead of need. Friendships become stronger when they are based on respect instead of dependence. Love becomes real when it is shared by two complete people rather than two people trying to fill each other's emptiness. Your first responsibility has never been making someone else complete. It has always been becoming complete yourself. Everything else is a bonus. Do not fear the people who walk away. Fear becoming the person who abandons themselves just to keep others close. Because once you lose yourself, every victory becomes empty. You may gain attention, you may gain temporary comfort, but you lose the only person who must live with your decisions every single day. Yourself, guard that relationship carefully. Protect your standards the way a king protects his kingdom. Protect your peace the way a warrior protects his weapon. Protect your time because it is the one resource no amount of wealth can ever replace. One day you will realize that every person who rejected you also gave you a gift. They forced you to stop depending on them. They pushed you toward discovering your own strength. What once felt like abandonment becomes redirection. What once looked like failure becomes preparation. Life has a remarkable way of removing what no longer belongs in your future. Do not interrupt that process by chasing what is already leaving. Let it go. If it belongs in your life, it will return through respect. If it never returns, it was teaching you a lesson, not building your destiny. There is extraordinary confidence in the person who knows they can survive every goodbye because they understand one truth. Nothing outside of them defines who they are. Not praise, not criticism, not rejection, not success, not failure, only character. Character is built in silence. It is built when no one is watching. It is built when nobody applauds. It is built every time you choose discipline over comfort, every time you choose dignity over desperation, every time you choose purpose over pleasure, and every time you choose self-respect over begging. Never allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. Never hand someone the authority to decide your value. Never become so afraid of losing people that you lose yourself. Walk with confidence. Speak with intention. Leave with dignity when respect no longer exists. Because power is not forcing someone to stay. Power is knowing that your future does not depend on anyone who refuses to see your worth. The world will always have people who underestimate you. Let them. It will always have people who misunderstand you. Let them. It will always have people who leave. Let them. Your responsibility is not to convince them. Your responsibility is to continue becoming the strongest version of yourself. The day you stop begging is the day you stop living as a prisoner of other people's opinions. That is the day your mind becomes free. And a free mind is the most powerful force in the world. Remember this. The world respects those who respect themselves. Master your mind. Protect your peace. Stand by your principles. And never beg for a place where your presence is not valued. Because the greatest power you will ever possess is the ability to walk away with your dignity still intact.